Out west a train runs through the night. Every 100 miles one comes into sight. Harvey House, Harvey Girls, meals and more are in store. Plus charm galore. Don't be sore, there's so much more.
I've encountered many adventures during the time that I was a Harvey girl. But this one, well, it's one of my favorites. It's called The Harvey Girl Imposters Game. And this is where the story begins. Traveling in a train along the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe line back in 1891.
Willa, May, 1891, age 18, on a moving train heading west with her knickers in a twist. My Pinkerton man is missing. Biting back an unexpected wave of fear, I plopped down on my first-class seat, dumbfounded. I was the capable Willa Abbott, Harvey girl and fixer of wrongs, so it was hard to admit that I'd lost a man on a moving train. I faced Dori Hilbert, my newest dear friend and fellow Harvey girl. Her confusion seemed to intensify as my revelation blended with what she already knew about our situation. "Oh, dear Willa, it can't be that bad," she insisted. "You only misplaced him. I'm certain Finn did not vanish into thin air." But he had. I could think of several foul things that might have waylaid a passenger along the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway. Trouble sprouted all about, especially as trains traveled west. They crossed through rough towns, where many a problem arose. However, my missing friend, the robust Finn Morgan, was no regular passenger. He was a Pinkerton agent and could handle himself amongst the worst sort.
My Pinkerton man is missing.
Yet, he left us an hour ago to speak with the train conductor and had not returned. Not that I was one to worry needlessly, but when the conductor passed through our car, I stopped him. The odd little man claimed he'd never spoken with Finn. "I simply cannot sit here one moment longer, hoping he will return," I stated in my firmest voice. "Valuable time is wasting, and Finn is as vulnerable as the rest of us mere mortals, if outnumbered." Of course, I knew from experience that Finn could be outwitted as well. I'd done so myself not long ago and still felt quite bad about it. But it had been necessary to save my father when Finn's good sense stood in the way. So I'd outmaneuvered him. A small trick, but it caused me a pang to mislead Finn. He meant well. Actually, in a very short period, we'd grown fond of each other. He was a tad overprotective, though, much like an older brother. Well, not exactly like a sibling. It had all worked out, and Finn didn't hold the bold actions against me. He'd shown great character and understanding. It was one of the reasons we'd been employed by Fred Harvey, we being Finn, Dori, and myself, to travel between different Harvey houses and clear up minor conundrums plaguing the establishments. Fred Harvey built and ran all of the Harvey houses along the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe routes. They were excellent establishments, known for delivering a fine steak dinner within a train's 20-minute stop. Passengers received superb cuisine delivered in grand style, a sit-down meal with china place settings on the finest Irish linen. All served by Harvey girls, a term used for the waitresses, who were educated, refined women. The Harvey House's impeccable reputation fed the business's success. As such, Fred Harvey guarded it with a grueling schedule of on-site visits. He kept things running smoothly, but at a cost to his own health. In part, our trio would ease some of the burden. However, our purpose wasn't the day-to-day inner workings, but the unique complications that arose as Fred Harvey's empire expanded into rougher territories. We'd been employed to restore order in some of the newer stops where polite society had not taken hold. I was honored to do my part in ensuring each Harvey house thrived. My enthusiasm bordered on unladylike behavior, I do admit. But, be that as it may, one had to take pride in a job well done. However, I could not take any for losing Finn. The first couple of Harvey houses we visited required minor interventions. There were misunderstandings between personnel, quickly sorted. One of us, probably the utterly upbeat Dori, voiced how easy it had been to instill the Fred Harvey way. All changed, alas, at our last stop. We stumbled into a true mystery. The La Junta Harvey house's chef had earned notice, bringing added acclaim to the Colorado train stop. Anyone who was anyone stopped for a meal. The chef, Julian Hillard, was a true gem. The success spurred plans to expand. But then the chef had suddenly asked for a transfer to the Raton Harvey house. He'd barely been in Raton for a week when he'd gone missing, possibly shanghaied. We couldn't be sure whether he'd been kidnapped, with only innuendo and staff complaints. The facts were few, but Finn had heard reports. San Francisco was a known port for such shenanigans. We were still a distance from the coastal city, so it seemed unlikely. I found it hard to believe, and hoped we'd learn more at the next stop along the line. Chef Hillard's sudden departure from Raton had to mean something. We were determined to find answers. However, if the man had been running from or to something, and it resulted in kidnapping, I worried that asking too many questions would turn trouble our way. Perhaps it already had. I feared for Finn. His disappearance leaned toward the ominous, as if trouble had found us before we'd found it. "He's on this train, somewhere," I insisted, yet tried to remain positive. If he has been contained or harmed, I can only believe it's due to the mystery of the missing chef. We asked enough probing questions in La Junta that it might have alerted the wrong element. We should wait here," Dori insisted. "Finn would never leave you for long. I think he's sweet on you. Plus, you are prone to getting into trouble." Sometimes Dori was too honest for her own good. However, I could not contradict either of her observations. Finn did appear to hold me in some regard, beyond just being a friendly travel companion. For my part, I liked having him around. No need to mull over it. Such matters tended to resolve themselves. As for my ability to find trouble, that was precisely correct. "My stomach will not feel settled if I sit and do nothing," I whined. "What if we go to look for Finn, and he comes back and finds us missing?" With a calm I did not feel, I explained how we could not miss Finn. Our first-class car was one of the last carriages. Thus, if we were to walk forward from our seats, we were bound to cross paths. It was not as if there were many places to hide, given that there was only one narrow aisle leading through each part of the train. I did not see how we could miss Finn. "Unless he's no longer on the train," Dori said matter-of-factly. I gulped, looking out the window. The train rushed through rugged terrain. A dense tree line was visible in the distance, the higher spots covered in snow. Closer to the train, red rocks jutted upward. Their stony faces were streaked with a rusty tint, as if the rough landscape made the stone bleed. Since we'd departed from Colorado, the train had not stopped. "Of course he's still on the train," I said, less and less confident. "I'd be very cross to discover he'd fallen off." "Or was thrown," Dori added, as if mulling over a minor oddity. I gasped. Of all the things that could have happened to Finn, that one was the worst. With a curt request for Dori to remain in our seats, lest Finn managed to get past me and return first, I decided to go in search of my Pinkerton man.
that's the end of the first part of The Harvey Girl, Imposter's Game, read by the author, Ann Kimbrough. See you next Tuesday for part 2.
What can I say? I know how to sense trouble, and I'll find it soon. See you in part 2.
Harvey Girl.